Here's your wrestling news for November 3rd, 2020. And your headlines for today include: wrestler admits to being unwell and quits pro wrestling completely. Legendary WWF referee Vass passes away. WWE bans 18 pro wrestlers from AEW and other promotions. The Young Bucks cashed in on being banned in a unique way. Stephanie McMahon gives new details about Vince McMahon Netflix documentary series. WWE fan does the unthinkable and shocks everybody. A major botch on WWE Raw. Mustafa Ali explains why he gave RETRIBUTION members weird names and masks. Chris Jericho reveals things AEW pays for that WWE never did. The future of Cain Velasquez in the WWE, and more. We're kicking off today with Impact Wrestling, as Kylie Rae didn't appear at Bound for Glory for her Knockouts Championship match with Deonna Purrazzo, and now she's given an update on her future. On her Patreon, Rae gave an emotional response, saying that she's no longer a professional wrestler and explained what's happening with her at the moment. She said, "I'm truly sorry for the pain I've caused and miscommunication. I am currently unwell. I'm also sorry that I wasn't able to get this out before your monthly subscription charge. I wanted to take this time and say I am no longer a professional wrestler and I am currently taking a break from social media. It's been a very hard decision to make, but please understand. When I'm well, I will try to fulfill any obligations that I've missed. During this time, most tiers will not be able to be fulfilled. Please feel free to unsubscribe from this membership/Patreon account. Thank you for understanding." This isn't the first time Rae has hung up her boots, as after appearing for AEW in 2019, Rae announced back then that she was leaving pro wrestling following her release, and now it's happened again. The now former wrestler didn't explain what caused her to miss Impact's biggest show of the year, but at 28 years old, there's been plenty of support from the wrestling community. Brandy Rhodes, who worked with her in AEW, described her as the absolute best, whilst Hurricane Helms said that her mental health comes first, and names like Sammy Guevara, Taya Valkyrie, and countless others shared photos of Kylie in happier times. At just 28 years old, there's still plenty of time for her to return to the ring if she changes her mind, but the most important thing for her right now is her mental health, and we're wishing Kylie the very best in whatever she chooses to do next. We've got some sad news to report next, as legendary referee Vass has died, aged 86. Vass passed on Friday evening in Staten Island, though his cause of death is not yet publicly known. Before donning the stripes, Vass wrestled as Al Sampson after his debut in the 1950s, before becoming a ref for many promotions, including both the WWF and the WWWF. Former WWF champion Bruno Sammartino would often specifically request to have Vass officiate his matches, and after wrestling, would become a security guard for the St. George Library. It's always sad to lose a member of our wrestling community, and we're sending our thoughts to Vass's family and friends at this time. Now, recently we covered that the WWE won't show any images of the Young Bucks in their Thunderdome, even having their faces on a board of images that they won't show, and now the brothers are cashing in on this story with a brand new item that they're selling. Matt Jackson has updated his Instagram to post a new merchandise announcement, as the team has taken the images WWE have of them and turned them into a shirt. This isn't the first time the Bucks have made fun of WWE, as they had a cease and desist shirt made when WWE stopped them from doing the Too Sweet gesture, and that shirt sold incredibly well with fans. The shirt is already available on Pro Wrestling Tees, and if you've got a friend you want to see kicked out of the Thunderdome, then we're sure this will make the perfect holiday present. Now, Netflix and WWE recently reached a landmark deal to produce one of their most expensive docuseries of all time, and with Bill Simmons producing, fans are eager to see the debut based on the life of Vince McMahon. One person who knows the boss well is his daughter Stephanie, who spoke to Token CEO about being nervous about the series because of the relationship she has with her father. She said, "For the first time ever, there's going to be a 4-part documentary on the life of my father, Vince McMahon, and it is going to be on Netflix. That's a really big deal. I'm totally nervous about it because I want to protect my dad, not that he wants to be protected. There's no one like my father. He grew up in a trailer park in North Carolina and didn't meet his dad until he was 13 and had no running water until he was 10. To have someone who truly lived the American dream, who believed in himself, who was willing to invest in himself. The things he had to do to even get into the business, let alone take over the business, which at the time was regional. He had this vision to make one global brand. At the time, some of those promotions had connections with the mafia and other organizations. Death threats were a regular thing. The courage, the guts, and you talk about a take-no-prisoners attitude. That was my dad making it happen. Just pure, driven ambition. He turned a regional wrestling promotion into a global media empire that is still growing. His story deserves to be told. With WWE having a role in the docuseries, there's a question to be asked about how deep will the docuseries dive into Vince's past. And though there's plenty to be told, it'll be interesting to see how much is new information. There's plenty of good and bad from McMahon over his many years in wrestling, and we'll have to see what makes the cut when this docuseries debuts on Netflix. Now, this year's Survivor Series will mark 30 years since the debut of The Undertaker, and in addition to the 30 Days of the Dead Man celebration on the WWE Network, fans can now pick up an epic piece of merchandise. On WWE Shop, a new title has been revealed, which features a custom Undertaker-themed black strap, as well as silver plates of the Winged Eagle title, the very first championship the Dead Man won in WWE back in 1991. If you want this title though, you'll have to reach deep into your pockets, as the deluxe edition, which includes an urn-shaped case, will set you back $1,000, with only 100 being made, whilst the cheaper version without the case will still be $500. Given that he's faced almost every big name in wrestling from Hulk Hogan to Steve Austin to John Cena, The Undertaker has amassed a legion of loyal fans over his decades in the ring. And if you're willing to pay the price, check out the description below for a link to the title. One person who knows the Phenom well is AJ Styles, and though it's clear why the Phenomenal One has amassed a ton of fans over the years, sometimes fans take things a step too far. This week, one fan shared off their new tattoo celebrating the Phenomenal One, which is an exact copy of Styles' tattoo on his right-hand side. The ink is the initials AJ, and whilst that is fine enough, many people didn't appreciate the fan also getting the birth dates of Styles' 4 children to match the Raw superstar. A lot of fans thought it was a bit too much to have the birthdays of children that aren't your own and that you've never met permanently inked on your body, and whilst there's no denying that it's a great replica of AJ's ink, maybe the fan should stick to figures or posters from now on. Jeff Hardy news next, as the entire premise of the Jeff Hardy vs. Elias guitar on a pole match on WWE Raw was flawed, considering that it ended with a pinfall. Usually, the whole point of a guitar on a pole match is to grab the guitar hanging on the pole and smash it on your opponent. This week, unfortunately, the guitar refused to smash, and WWE Raw superstar Jeff Hardy was forced to improvise. One has to hope that Hardy and Elias will move on to new opponents on WWE Raw, because honestly, there is no excitement at all with regard to their current ongoing feud. And the fact that such a massive botch happened on WWE Raw this week just added another blemish to a clash that not a lot of people have really cared about thus far. In fact, it would have probably been more entertaining to have Elias play his tune in its entirety than the match that ensued shortly after. More Raw news now, as the biggest headline from Hell in a Cell, aside from the fact that Randy Orton defeated Drew McIntyre to become WWE Champion, was the fact that Tucker went heel and turned on Otis. And yet, he did not get a win on WWE Raw to cement his heel turn, but instead jobbed out in almost no time to Ricochet. This was a really poor move by WWE, especially if you consider that Tucker's character hasn't even been properly established on WWE Raw. Would anyone want to see Otis and Tucker mix it up at some point down the line if it's so very easy to beat the latter? It did seem like Tucker would be recruited by Retribution on WWE Raw, but instead, the collective chose to inflict pain and punishment upon him. As for Retribution versus Ricochet, do you think it has the legs to be a compelling feud on the WWE Raw brand in the weeks to follow? We've got music news next, as this year, Black Sabbath are celebrating the 50th anniversary of their Paranoid record, and one notable fan of the group is Triple H. Now, the band have rewarded the game for his decades of devotion, as they've sent him a gift, a book of band photos, news clippings, and other pieces of history. A WWE camera caught the excited Game receiving the gift, as he explained that Black Sabbath were one of the most influential bands of his childhood. Triple H has been fortunate to meet and become friends with some of his childhood heroes, and though he's a COO, Hall of Famer, millionaire, and multi-time world champion, it's cool to see that the game can still be a starstruck fan. Back to the ring now, and Retribution had a dominant week on this week's Raw, which was a long time coming for the group. Ever since Mustafa Ali was revealed as the group's leader, there's been plenty of questions aimed at him, with one major question being why names like Slapjack and T-Bar were chosen for stars like Shane Thorne and Dominik Dijakovic. This week, Ali addressed the elephant in the room in a video similar to his old videos as the SmackDown hacker and said, "I want you to imagine being mocked because of how you look. Now I want you to imagine a man named Mustafa Ali that has given names and masks to members of Retribution, so that they too can know how he feels, so they too can be judged because of their names, they too can be mocked because of how they look." It's no secret that Ali has, and continues to, face discrimination for both his appearance and ethnicity, even recently being compared to a terrorist after being revealed as the group's leader. And it's powerful stuff that he wants the other Retribution members to see how this feels. Time will tell how effective Retribution will be with these new names, but after beating down both Tucker and Ricochet, it looks like things might finally be turning around. AEW news next, as Chris Jericho has made it clear that he never wants to return to WWE, and after what he said this week, we kinda understand Y2J's reasoning. On his Talk is Jericho podcast, the former AEW World Champion explained how the company is paying for things that WWE would never dream of, such as expenses on the road. He said, "If the Jaguars go to play a game in St. Louis, the hotel is paid for, and here's the trip, and here's the team bus to pick you up and drive you around. That's just the way it is. That's how it is here in AEW as well, which it's never like that in WWE." Of course, a union in WWE could make it so that the company has to pay these business expenses, and there's been plenty of talks about unionizing thanks to the company's new rule about Twitch. Perhaps superstars will one day get these business expenses paid for, but until then, Jericho has made it very clear that he's staying in All Elite Wrestling.